And some people have even said that it's actually Elvis who didn't die at all, and he's actually Bob. But certainly, in my opinion, with the analysis that we're going to be doing, I mean, Bob has said himself that he's not Elvis Presley.
Decades after the king's supposed final breath, a bombshell claim emerges from an unlikely source. What if the man preaching in rural Arkansas holds DNA proof that changes music history forever? For nearly 50 years, devotees and skeptics alike have debated whether Elvis Presley truly perished in 1977. Now, an astonishing genetic link between a small-town pastor and rock's greatest icon threatens to reignite one of entertainment's deepest mysteries. Pastor Bob Joyce, a gospel minister from the heart of Arkansas, has become the unexpected focal point of a theory so audacious it challenges everything we thought we knew about that August day in Memphis. Elvis Presley dominated global consciousness in a way few artists ever will. His voice electrified stadiums, his gyrating hips provoked moral outrage, his silhouette became instantly recognizable across continents. Royalty, dignitaries, and millions of ordinary fans worshipped at the altar of his talent. Yet on August 16, 1977, that astronomical trajectory halted abruptly. The man found unconscious at his Memphis mansion would never perform again. 42 years old. A lifetime of achievement already behind him. News bulletins interrupted regular programming. Fans congregated outside Graceland with flowers and tears. Radio stations played his greatest hits back to back. His body entered the vault of cultural legend. But something extraordinary has persisted across these 49 years. A whisper, a theory, an alternative narrative suggesting the king never actually died, merely disappeared. The proposition fascinates not because of evidence, but because it resonates with a deep human hunger for hidden truths. What if the pressures of unrelenting fame pushed a tormented genius toward radical reinvention? Sometimes the greatest escape requires becoming someone else entirely. What if, researchers and theorists ask, that someone else wore a collar, carried a Bible, and preached gospel in a small congregation? Enter Pastor Bob Joyce. This Arkansas-based minister commands a modest fellowship known as Household of Faith. He delivers sermons, he leads worship, he sings hymns with a voice that has stopped certain viewers in their tracks. Because something about his vocal timbre, his phrasing, his cadence seems implausibly familiar to anyone raised on rock and roll's foundational mythology. His facial structure, his mannerisms, his left-handedness, his reportedly matching blood type with the deceased rock star. These convergences have fueled an increasingly elaborate theory among true believers. The premise, on its surface, strains credulity. Elvis, chronically addicted to prescription medications, suffocating under the weight of universal recognition, surrounded by sycophants and parasites, might such a man have orchestrated the ultimate vanishing act? He possessed the financial resources. He maintained access to high-level connections. Gospel music held profound spiritual meaning for him since childhood. The theoretical foundation contains internal logic. An individual drowning in fame seeking sanctuary through anonymous ministry feels almost inevitable, yet the most provocative claim involves genetic testing. According to vocal supporters of the Joyce as Elvis hypothesis, DNA analysis has allegedly confirmed biological kinship. If authenticated, such a finding would constitute the century's most stunning revelation. DNA represents the absolute gold standard of identification, nearly impossible to falsify convincingly. But here emerges the critical complication. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof, not whispered speculation. No authenticated laboratory, no peer review, no independent verification of these genetic assertions has entered the public sphere. The claim circulates primarily through YouTube channels, Facebook groups, and alternative media platforms populated by passionate believers. The evidentiary gap yawns tremendously. Without official laboratory credentials, without named specialists confirming methodology, without biological samples properly documented and tested under controlled conditions, the DNA claim remains largely theoretical, a hope expressed rather than a fact established. This absence of substantiation places the entire theory in perpetual limbo between possibility and fancy. Yet the human mind resists neat conclusions. Joyce's surface similarities to Elvis genuinely perplex casual observers. His vocal delivery carries surprising resonances with the King's distinctive phrasing. When he performs gospel material with enthusiasm, his bodily movements, arm gestures, hip swivels, facial expressions sometimes evoke the rock and roll legend's on-stage presence. For those predisposed toward the theory, such parallels coalesce into overwhelming circumstantial narrative. Simultaneously, skeptics raise counterarguments deserving consideration. Countless individuals share superficial resemblances without sharing heritage. Many singers absorb stylistic elements from artistic heroes without being those heroes. Bodily mannerisms spread through cultural osmosis. A person devoted to Elvis's legacy might unconsciously mirror his movements after decades of veneration. Such explanations demand no conspiratorial infrastructure, no multi-generational cover-up, no extraordinary mechanisms requiring perpetual maintenance. The biographical timeline invites scrutiny. Elvis expired in August '77. Bob Joyce emerged publicly as a minister approximately during that same historical window. Supporters interpret this synchronicity as damning evidence. How fortuitous that a new preacher materialized just as the world's greatest entertainer supposedly breathed his last. Yet such timing proves nothing independently. Thousands of individuals commence ministerial roles every year. Coincidence flourishes throughout human experience without demanding exotic explanation. The narrative expands when considering Joyce's life trajectory with fresh perspective. Robert Wayne Joyce, allegedly born in 1952, purportedly married in '75, ordained in '81. Educated at Dallas Baptist University, these biographical particulars remain subject to conflicting claims. Certain websites contradict others regarding birth chronology. A Canadian musician shares his nomenclature, introducing additional confusion into searches. Yet biographical inconsistencies, while suspicious, fall short of proof. Public records undergo errors. Digital databases contain duplicates and inaccuracies routinely. The Household of Faith congregation itself evolved remarkably, originally gathering in modest homes around 2010 with merely a handful of adherents. Joyce's ministry expanded systematically. A small commercial space accommodated perhaps 40 souls. Subsequently, a larger sanctuary held 100 worshippers comfortably. Then, in mid-2024, a game-changing acquisition, 9 acres near Benton featuring a metal structure originally designed as agricultural storage. That building underwent transformation into a chapel capable of seating over 250, with parking for 75 vehicles. Such growth raises legitimate financial questions. How does a pastor commanding a relatively small congregation composed primarily of retired, disabled, working-class individuals finance such capital expansion without major denomination backing or national fundraising apparatus? Joyce's estimated net worth ranges variably from $600,000 to $3 million according to unconfirmed sources. Where originate such resources? Supporters suggest Elvis's accumulated wealth laundered through decades of discreet reinvestment. Skeptics counter that successful independent ministries generate surprising prosperity through donation cultivation and real estate appreciation. The church facility itself demands examination. Gregory Pritchard, a YouTube commentator, reported visiting the property in April 2025. His subsequent video description noted the spacious acreage, the impressive structural improvements, the evident investment in physical plant infrastructure. Yet, he simultaneously observed a numerical disconnect. The sanctuary capacity vastly exceeds the actual congregation size. Why construct seating for 250 when barely 50 regularly attend? This mismatch intrigued Pritchard sufficiently to merit public discussion, implicitly questioning whether Joyce possessed hidden financial catalysts unknown to his ministerial peers. The interview moment that transformed everything occurred under television circumstances. Joyce faced direct questioning regarding the Elvis comparisons, physical resemblances, vocal similarities, and the broader theoretical framework. Initially, he addressed such questions with practiced facility. He had encountered these accusations countless times. He understood the points raised. He appeared composed and articulate, discussing photographs, facial features, voice patterns, and supporting documentation. But something shifted as the conversation intensified. The interviewer pressed deeper into psychological territory. Rather than simply cataloging surface similarities, the host questioned Joyce's internal conviction. Did he genuinely believe this theory, or had he unconsciously permitted the speculation to colonize his identity? Had proximity to fame, even secondhand fame through theoretical association, become psychologically addictive? Did the viral attention validate something previously missing from his ministry? Then arrived the question Joyce could not diplomatically deflect. The host asked directly, "Are you Elvis Presley?" The room contracted into silence. Joyce's demeanor transformed visibly. He did not immediately answer. His breathing appeared to deepen. His hand moved toward his chest, perhaps reflexively, perhaps unconsciously indicating emotional disturbance. The pause extended beyond comfortable social norms, suggesting genuine internal processing rather than calculated evasion. When Joyce finally responded, he did not issue categorical denial. Instead, he acknowledged that he had personally questioned this very proposition. Belief and truth sometimes diverge in ways that test our capacity for honest self-examination. He admitted that his initial curiosity about Elvis's death had evolved into something more personally significant. The investigation had stopped being merely historical research. It had become enmeshed with his own identity seeking. This admission transformed the interview's entire context. The interaction ceased being about objective fact and became psychological portraiture. Did Joyce's hesitation constitute suspicious evasion or merely profound consideration of an absurd question? Had he internalized the theory so thoroughly that distinguishing fiction from reality had become genuinely difficult? Psychologically, such immersion in a single dominant narrative can subtly rewire identity, especially when that narrative promises significance and explains otherwise mundane existence. Joyce eventually stated he would require irrefutable documented proof to accept the theory definitively. This response satisfied no one completely. Believers interpreted his caution as diplomatic preservation of deniability. Skeptics heard rationality speaking. The mystery deepened rather than resolved through his hesitation. Examining Elvis's final years with analytical distance proves illuminating. The singer faced staggering personal tribulation. Pharmaceutical dependency ravaged his health. His physiology altered visibly. Fatigue plagued him constantly. The machinery of celebrity managers, handlers, photographers, producers, sycophants permitted him virtually no privacy whatsoever. He could not conduct even mundane activities without attracting attention. Gospel music represented the one consistent spiritual anchor throughout his emotional turbulence. From childhood gospel revivals through stadium performances, religious music connected him to transcendent meaning beyond entertainment commerce. Elvis recorded gospel albums, won Grammy Awards for spiritual music, and spoke frequently about faith's centrality to his worldview. His interest in religion extended beyond performance into genuinely contemplative territory. He studied scripture, read theological texts, and wrestled with existential questions about purpose and mortality. For someone enduring such existential crisis, voluntary abandonment of everything associated with his famous identity might have seemed liberating rather than impossible. Imagine the peace inherent in anonymity. Imagine serving a community where your identity remains unknown. Imagine preaching gospel, the music that truly sustained your spirit without performing for millions. Imagine building something meaningful untethered from the machinery that destroyed you. This narrative framework provides emotional scaffolding for believers. It offers psychological coherence to the theory. It transforms the scenario from implausible conspiracy into almost sympathetic portrait of damaged genius seeking redemption through radical authenticity. But substantial logical obstacles persist stubbornly. A genuine disappearance of this magnitude would require vast supporting infrastructure. Someone forged documents. Someone created a new legal identity. Someone maintained absolute secrecy across nearly 5 decades. Someone possessed the sophisticated capability to access witness silence from hundreds of individuals potentially involved with his former life. Consider the impossible personal costs. Elvis maintained a daughter, Lisa Marie. She would either grow up believing her father died a devastating deception or maintain a dangerous secret that could never be safely disclosed. His former wife, Priscilla, his remaining family members, his legion of former employees, musicians, handlers, and business associates. Each represented a vulnerability-threatening exposure. The conspiracy would demand silence from too many people. Money talks, secrets don't. Someone would eventually profit from revelation. Someone would write a book, give an interview, demand documentary compensation. The machinery of modern celebrity culture makes silence impossible. A secret maintained 50 years suggests that either the event never occurred, or everyone with knowledge died without disclosure, an implausibly convenient outcome. The money trail similarly presents puzzles. Claims circulate regarding large cash withdrawals preceding Elvis's supposed death. Supporters interpret this as escape funding. But withdrawals constitute only half a story. Where did the capital originate? How was it subsequently deployed? What clear financial documentation connects mysterious transactions to Bob Joyce's pastoral ministry decades later? Without specific evidence connecting Joyce's current prosperity directly to Elvis's former assets, speculation remains precisely that educated guessing rather than substantiated conclusion. The physical evidence question bears careful scrutiny. If Joyce were truly Elvis, wouldn't fingerprints mismatch definitively? Wouldn't dental records contradict? Wouldn't voice analysis technology sophisticated by modern standards reveal distinct differences rather than mysterious similarities? The legal apparatus possesses sophisticated forensic capability for identity verification. Yet no court has demanded such analysis. No state authorities initiated investigations. The theory persists primarily within YouTube speculation rather than official scrutiny. This conspicuous absence of institutional engagement suggests something important. Either Joyce genuinely is just a pastor, or powerful forces maintain his protection through means that leave no forensic trace. Both propositions strain credibility in different directions, yet the first strains credibility far less severely than the second. The voice similarity question deserves particular attention. Skeptical acousticians observe that vocal similarities proliferate naturally among singers influenced by the same artistic traditions. Influence permeates musical style. A musician worshipping Elvis since childhood might unconsciously adopt similar phrasing, similar elongation of syllables, similar Southern enunciation patterns. These surface similarities need not indicate genetic relationship or secret identity. Conversely, believers point to recordings where Joyce's vocal production mirrors Elvis's distinctive characteristics with almost uncanny precision. They note moments where Joyce's deeper register emerges with the same timbre quality. They highlight his particular manner of holding certain words. For listeners predisposed toward the theory, these moments feel confirmatory. For skeptics, they represent learned imitation. Both interpretations carry internal coherence. The left-handedness detail, mentioned repeatedly by theory advocates, proves similarly equivocal. Approximately 10% of humans naturally favor their left hand. Elvis was left-handed. Joyce is left-handed. This alignment constitutes mere statistical probability rather than evidence. Millions of left-handed individuals inhabit the planet without being secretly anyone significant. The blood type claim similarly fails definitive analysis. Without accessing verified samples from both individuals tested under controlled scientific conditions, blood type comparisons remain hearsay. Alternatively, if such testing occurred unofficially without institutional oversight, the methodology remains forever unverifiable. This evidential void permits neither confirmation nor disproof. As the mystery persists, observers encounter an interesting psychological phenomenon. Believers point to accumulated circumstantial details comprising a coherent narrative. Skeptics emphasize the absence of definitive proof, the logical problems inherent to the conspiracy, and the principle of parsimony. Simpler explanations typically outweigh complex ones. Yet neither side can prove their position absolutely. The theory exists in permanent epistemic limbo. The phenomenon itself, independent of whether the theory is true, deserves serious attention. What drives human attachment to hidden truth narratives? Why do people find comfort in secret histories? What psychological function do conspiracy theories serve, particularly when they involve beloved cultural figures who suffered dramatically? The Joyce theory attracts adherents who yearn for Elvis to have escaped, achieved peace, pursued spiritual calling. It offers redemptive narrative arc. The official record remains immobile. Elvis Presley, age 42, perished at Graceland, August 16, 1977. This stands as documented historical fact recognized globally. Bob Joyce continues pastoral ministry at Household of Faith in Benton, Arkansas. This constitutes his verifiable reality. The claim connecting them genetically remains unproven, unsupported by authenticated evidence, and relegated to alternative media platforms. Yet the possibility, however remote, continues capturing imaginations. If the theory were somehow true, what would that revelation mean? Not merely for music history, but for our collective assumptions regarding truth, verification, celebrity, and privacy? What would it signify that the greatest entertainer of the 20th century had essentially retreated from history? Gregory Pritchard's 2025 visit yielded no definitive answers, merely observations about property size, congregation numbers, and the disconnect between physical infrastructure and membership size. Other investigators have examined photographs, compared voice recordings, analyzed mannerisms, all yielding subjective interpretations rather than objective findings. The mystery therefore persists not through mysterious circumstances, but through absence of definitive proof either confirming or thoroughly debunking the theory. In modern information ecosystems, such ambiguity permits narrative multiplication. Each viewer, each listener, each reader constructs their own conclusion based on predisposition and interpretation. Some see overwhelming coincidence, others see coincidental similarity. Some recognize evidence. Others recognize pattern seeking among humans naturally inclined toward meaning-making. The strongest avenue toward resolution would involve officially authenticated DNA testing conducted by independent laboratories under controlled scientific conditions, comparison of fingerprints and dental records through authoritative institutions, voice analysis using contemporary acoustic methodology, and examination of historical documents regarding Joyce's biographical background. Such comprehensive analysis could potentially resolve the question definitively. Absent such investigation, the Joyce's Elvis theory joins countless historical mysteries existing within perpetual ambiguity. It fascinates because it refuses simple closure. It compels because it contains just sufficient circumstantial plausibility to permit belief without demanding acceptance. It persists because it addresses deeper human yearnings regarding redemption, escape, and the possibility that our most beloved figures might have discovered peace beyond the machinery that broke them. The truth, whatever its nature, remains knowable only through evidence we do not currently possess and may never obtain. Until then, the mystery survives neither solved nor thoroughly disproven, perpetually alive within the realm of intriguing possibility. What do you believe? Share your thoughts below in the comments. If this investigation into the Joyce-Elvis connection fascinated you, please like this video and subscribe to Crime Brief for additional explorations into mysteries that challenge our assumptions about truth and identity. See you in the next investigation.